back to Acoustic Garage, everyone. Hope you're having a fantastic day. I know I am, because I am changing fuel injectors in this old Gen 1 Toyota Tacoma 6-cylinder. Now, how do you know that you need to change injectors? There are a few indicators. The really good indicator is you have a lot of misfires and you're throwing DTC codes that all surround your fuel injectors. And you, of course, have already went through, checked your MAF sensor, throttle position sensor, all these sensors, canisters for your vapors, your fuel filter, which is right kind of under there, your fuel pump, it's on the fuel tank, and you keep circling back to your fuel injectors. And other ways you can tell is your throttle is very sluggish, like this guy. Your fuel mileage is way down, like this guy. And you have very rough cold starts, and it's just barfing out black smoke until it warms up. And that black smoke is unspent fuel, which this one is definitely doing. And it's time to change that. So I picked up these fuel injectors on Amazon for a fraction of the OEM price, and hopefully I don't regret that. So one of the issues that people have with these is they install them and then they start spewing out fuel out of the real system. Nobody ever says why or what their fix was besides tossing them and getting OEM ones, but I suspect that it's the O-rings. And I specifically found some that seemed to have the right size O-rings and didn't have any leaking injector comments down in the comment section. And how I'm going to find out for sure is I'm going to pull off these old injectors and I'm going to compare these, and I'm going to go one step further. I got a bunch of Viton O-rings which are actually rated for fuel, whereas these black ones are not rated for fuel. And so I'm going to go ahead and just get that upgrade out of the way. And I have a whole assortment, so I definitely have the right size. But I'm going to pull off the old injector, compare it to my kit, get the right size, put it on here, and we'll see. I'm going to pull it out and see if it's the right one. One thing that these injectors have besides good price over the OEMs is that these are 4-hole injectors instead of 2-hole injectors. So you're going to get a little better atomization, a little better throttle response, a little better fuel economy out of it. And this is a stainless steel body. So stainless steel, 4 holes, cheaper price. Yeah, let's give it a try. But let me just show you what we got to take apart ahead of time to get down to our fuel injectors. So we got to remove this upper and lower intake manifold to get down to the injectors. The injectors right here on the passenger side. Might be a little easier to get to. Probably just get away with taking off the upper, but we're going to take off the lower two because we got to also do the driver's side, of course. And to do this, we have a series of hoses and all these little mounting claps. I think most of these are about 12 millimeter. Most of the bolts are 12 millimeter. We got a ground. We got a lot of vacuum hoses. We got a couple of mounts here. We got to disconnect the throttle cable, the cruise control. I'll disconnect the MAF sensor, remove the cold air intake, and then disconnect those vacuum hoses on top. And then we can start removing all the mounting hardware for the upper air intake. Now, some people recommend taking off the throttle body first, but you don't have to. You can disconnect it and you can remove the throttle body connected to the upper manifold and just move it all as one unit. Get it out of the way, save yourself some time. And then we'll get to that lower. All right, enough yapping. Start wrenching. All right, got that top intake manifold removed. Just wanted to show you what it looks like here. If you want to remove it all the way completely, you got 3 more hoses at the bottom to disconnect. But as you see, our injectors are exposed now. And I don't think I have to remove anything else. There's only 3 injectors, so that will be good. All right. So pretty straightforward so far. This next piece is also going to be pretty straightforward. Looks like we got a couple more 12s there. And 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 more bolts that I could see. All 12 so far, all pretty easy, all pretty straightforward. Keep track of your bolts and your nuts. Put them back in where you can. And go ahead and put you on time lapse again. Let's keep moving. So taking out that intake manifold takes basically no time at all, and that's the hardest part. So you really shouldn't be afraid of this job, because it shouldn't be too difficult. Now we have our rail here that we got to take off. We have 3 injector harnesses. They're like every other electrical connection you ever seen there. So you do it one hand. Pinch and pull. Pinch and pull. Pinch and pull. They'll come off pretty easy. Looks like I can loom up some wire here while I'm got everything apart. Keep those wires nice and protected. Okay, so I'm going to remove these 2 bolts. They look like 12 millimeters. Let me look. Yep. Should be able to just pop that off. Yep. Like fuel everywhere. Clean that up. So we don't start an engine fire. Definitely want to keep that dried up. There's probably a more elegant way to do this, but I don't do elegance. Wiggle out the injector. There's one. Oh, that's a 4-hole, so these are aftermarkets. Okay, well, I couldn't get that banjo bolt off, but it is just bridged over to this one. And so I think the only one I'm really gonna have to remove is this guy back here on the passenger side, because that feels like a hard line. It goes somewhere where I can't see it, but that is a hard line, whereas this one to the fuel pressure regulator is a soft line. So I'll get this one removed, and then I'll remove these 2 bolts and then pop that rail off. But those injectors did come out, and I want to show you something here. I was looking at the O-rings. See how well this shows up. Got our new injector there, our old one there. Here is the old O-ring. Here's the one that came off of the new one. And let's see if it'll focus. The new one is noticeably, I don't know if it's going to focus, is noticeably thinner. But I have a nice Viton that is the same size. Granted, this old one is little cooked, feels a little dry rotted, and is a little smashed down. But I think that this Viton one will do the trick there. but the Viton is much fatter, much thicker, more robust than the one that came with the injector. So we'll toss that on, make sure it's not pinched. And then this one looks good. And it looks like it's gonna work, like the same size once it's smashed down a little bit in there. Okay, so I'm gonna keep removing injectors over here. Pull that bolt off the back, and then I should be able to pop this whole thing up and get to those other 3 injectors, and then we'll go ahead and try out this injector tester and just kind of see what it does. Alright, let me show you my little tester kit here. Picked it up on Amazon, like less than 30 bucks. It's a universal kit, so it works for a variety of injectors. You just got to find the one that fits snugly on yours. You can test up to 2 injectors at a time. Positive, negative, doesn't matter which. And then the other end, I'll throw that on a bottle of carb cleaner. Not brake clean, carb cleaner. Carb cleaner isn't quite as dry, so it's not going to screw up your inner components if you're just doing a cleaning and a testing. But since we're here, I got the old ones out. I just want to see, what the old ones are doing. If that's even the issue, which I suspect it is, or just like what the spray pattern is. So I'll get that can set up and we'll give this a go. Oh, also, the other end hooks up to your 12-volt battery. Okay. Kind of got to stay close to the engine bay, but all set up here. And I got a new one on. The old one I kept blowing out, so I think it was pretty clogged. It couldn't take the pressure, but I'll show you that here in a second. So I got it set to number 3, long pulse. You can do short pulse, medium pulse, or long pulse. I got it set to 3, long pulse. There's a reset button, mode selection, and then pulse. So when you hit pulse, it'll start firing off your injector. I'm kind of awkwardly set up here, so I don't know how well you can see this. Using both my hands, and this just kind of hangs out awkwardly, so you got to hold that in place and then hold this in place. I'm going to click pulse and then press down and spray some choke, and we'll see what this new injector does. Pretty good. That works just fine. Let's grab an old injector and see what it does. Another injector. Ooh. Okay, this one's clogged too. Alright, yeah, look. That one just shoots out all over the place, and it doesn't want to pump out really any fuel compared to some of the other ones. It's spilling out of here, barely spilling out of here, and that's in there nice and snug, so I'm going to say that one's clogged. So that's 2 clogged. Another new one. Oh yeah. Alright, time to install the injectors back into the rails. One thing I am doing, something I did on my Duramax as well, is I just applied a little bit of lube to the O-rings so that they slide in a little easier. They're less likely to pinch and break. I do got a little oil on the tips there, but that'll all burn out. It's just oil, so not going to hurt anything. And let me get you set up and just kind of show you how I'm doing this. It's not difficult, especially when they're all lubed up. Okay. So we're just going to pop that in. Should move around freely. If it doesn't, then it's probably bound up on itself. You want to pull it out, check that O-ring, make sure it's not damaged. If it is, then you'll replace it. Okay, slides in nice and easy when it's all lubed up. I tested with the old ones first to make sure that those went in just as easy, and they do, so that is a good sign all the way around. Okay, now we're ready to pop them back into their homes and start buttoning things up. Alright, my noggin might be in your way for this, but Bear with me. Alright, everything's back in. Just wanted to show you that the rails are in, nice and snug down. Banjo's back in. And hopefully none of those O-rings are pinched. And that's the only thing that I foresee going wrong, because I pinched an O-ring, but I don't think I did. Everything moved pretty freely. Yeah, I think as long as I didn't pinch it on the inside of the engine, we should be all right. But we're about to find out here pretty freaking quick, because I'm going to throw on the lower intake manifold and the upper intake manifold, connect hoses and shit all along the way. I didn't have loom, but I did have electrical tape, so I taped that back up. Well, I have loom, it's just not the right size. It needs to be a lot bigger. But such is the way of things. So I'm going to start buttoning up. You want to pay attention to fuel pressure regulator. All these little hoses and stuff all have to go back, otherwise things won't function the way they should, of course. Take pictures beforehand if you need to. And I'm going to go ahead and button it up. Alright, it's back together. Hopefully it starts. I don't know, you see anything missing? I think I got all the vacuum lines back together. Throttle cable's probably good. Check that out when we start it. So when I do this start, all the fuel lines and everything got to pressurize again, so it might be a little rough at first. But I'm going to start it, hopefully, and then I'm going to check for leaks. And then let it warm up in the driveway. Let's see what happens. Been driving around for a while now, and it does drive a lot better. It has a little more pep in it, step, better throttle response, sounds better, gets up and goes, doesn't quite lag as much, take as long to throttle up. I'd say that was a win. Nothing's leaking, so that's good. I'd say, 10 out of 10, go ahead, or I'm going to give the injectors a good 9 out of 10 at least, because I did change those O-rings and upgraded to the Vitons, but I don't think any injector you buy has the Vitons in there. Those are actually rated for gasoline. The black ones aren't. But the ones that came with it just seemed like they're a little too small, and maybe they would have swelled up, maybe they would have smashed down, but why take the chance when I got some nice Vitons that are a little beefier and are going to do the job a lot better and last a lot longer. So that is a good upgrade. For any injector you get, you might as well put some Viton O-rings on there, because I haven't seen any yet that come with them, and they should, because they are rated for fuel. I'll put a link in the description for those injectors and for the tester if you want to do this yourself. Really is not that bad of a job, just popping the just popping the intake manifold, pulling those rails, and swapping out the injectors. That was really straightforward. So I'm gonna go ahead and sign out. It's getting dark, and Yeti and I are gonna go for a little cruise and keep testing on it and see what kind of mischief we can get into. Hope it helped you out. Consider subscribing. I got a ton more videos on the Tacoma. This is a full-on rebuild, and I'll have a bunch more. And if you're into camping, Duramaxes, overlanding, dualies, definitely subscribe. Have a good day.